can't stand feelings.
Oh God.
Man, I hate that bitch.
Oh God.
I don't give a fuck. I hate her guts. She can suck my dick.
Oh God.
Fuck her boyfriend Tommy. He can get it too. Real unspoken purpose. Fuck your entire crew.
Oh God.
PP stay talking. Now she getting sued. Corporate lunches, drone on edges, stressed out eating food, bitch. She was fucking her uncle, fucking him night and day. She slept in the bed with him, she even called him babe. She was fucking her uncle, fucking him night and day. Then she got pregnant, had to send the child away. I can't stand feelings.
Oh God.
Man, I hate that bitch.
Oh God.
I don't give a fuck. I hate her guts. She can suck my dick.
Oh God.
Fuck her boyfriend Tommy. He can get it too. Real unspoken purpose. Fuck your entire crew.
Oh God.
PP stay talking. Now she getting sued. Corporate lunches, drone on edges, stressed out eating food, bitch. She was fucking her uncle, fucking him night and day. She slept in the bed with him, she even called him babe. She was fucking her uncle, fucking him night and day. Then she got pregnant, had to send the child away. She was fucking her uncle, fucking him night and day.
She was fucking
in the bed with him, she even called him babe.
had to send her away.
She was fucking her uncle, fucking him night and day. Then she got pregnant, had to send the child away.
She sent her away.
She was fucking her uncle,
fucking him night and fucking him night and day.
She slept in the bed with him, she even called him babe. She was fucking her uncle,
Ooh,
fucking him night and
think
day.
that shit money, boy.
Then she got pregnant,
had to send the child away.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
State gang the mob. We in too deep. MoneyBoy Trey. Truth hurts. Now what? It's a whole bunch of you motherfuckers. Y'all know who y'all is that I fuck with. But also, let me say, fuck Unspoken Purpose. Fuck Too Strong. Fuck Philly Phil. Fuck Taylor Made. Fuck Miss Vicky and whoever else wanted.
She was fucking on her uncle. Back in high school, she was beating up hoes
Philly
Phil. Then she got pregnant by him. She had a baby. The bitch is crazy. Now she online with a lawsuit from Miss Robbie. She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking her uncle. Something is wrong with this woman.
She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking on Tommy. Share your mustache, you home wrecking woman.
She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking her uncle. Something is wrong with this woman.
She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking on Tommy. Share your mustache, you home wrecking woman.
She in love with her uncle. Now she fucking on Tommy. 'Cause she can't get a man of her own. No, she can't. No, she cannot do it. No, she can't. She old and miserable. She look like Squidward. Now she online with a lawsuit from Miss Robbie. She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking her uncle. Something is wrong with this woman.
She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking on Tommy. Share your mustache, you home wrecking woman.
She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking her uncle. Something is wrong with this woman.
She in love with her uncle.
She sucking and fucking on Tommy. Share your mustache, you home wrecking woman.
She in love with her uncle.
You uncle fucking ass bitch. It ain't shit you could ever tell me. You said you wanted war? Bitch, let's do it. It's war. MoneyBoy Trey. State gang. We in too deep. We out. Whole team shining, we stars, big dipper. Get a lot of haystack gang in the sippers. Niggas ain't real, nigga. You gotta feel me, nigga. Smile in my face behind my back, you tryna kill me, nigga. You say you got beef, then what you wanna do? You screaming, fuck me, nah, nigga, fuck you. You ain't hard at me. Couple kick dough, couple robbery. Nigga get extorted, get aborted, he don't pay the fee. Posted in the north, got the 2 to 4 recipe. I be cooking chicken bit, not talking rotisserie. I got all my hater mad, I know that they sick of me. Who the fuck he think he is, motherfucker?
We just getting started,
pay him no attention, they up under me. Haters call me Visa cause I'm everywhere they wanna be. Ladies, man, catch me with more honeys than a bumblebee. Say she got a husband, but she always wanna suck the D. State gang, true sipper, who these nigga wanna be. I been getting money since a younger, I been pushing peace. Stay strapped, gotta watch your back when you're in the streets. Friends turn to foes, never know who your enemy. I was in Detroit, he ain't keep the same energy. West side down the slide, I don't think he feeling me. I was on some demon time, nigga talking about killing me. Stand on business, let's see all that shit that you gon' do to me. Come outside, why you scared? I thought that you been a G. We don't bluff, we pulling up, we different down in Tennessee. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 car. Memphis really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white square, been serving them on the same block. Dying piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 car. Memphis really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white square, been serving them on the same block. Dying piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. I got an old school bitch, call her Aretha. Shawty so fine.
Raina, I did not know Virginia was cussing you out.
Quarter, I do this for
you
my
better not
kids,
let the crip people cuss you out like that. You black, damn it.
Hoes call me sire. One look like Lotto, the other look like Maya. My plug, he ain't playing. He only.
You better roast that white bitch. You ain't black no more.
My money coming in bundles, different flavors of Kush, orange, grape, and apple. If a nigga trap me, it's gonna be a disaster. Dope money and bitches, pimp robbers and snitches. It's all in my.
I'm just playing, right?
I'm gifted, I really can't complain. Shit starting to change, a product of my environment. Tell me who can I blame? Neck like a glacier, bought my shawty a bracelet. Money go get her, that's why these niggas be hating. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 car. Memphis really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white squares, been serving them on the same block. Dying piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 car. Memphis really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked.
Juicy Kim, P. Brooks said she'll pull up on you with the blicky.
Dying piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 car. Memphis really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white squares, been serving them on the same block. Dying piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 car. Memphis really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white squares, been serving them on the same block. Dying piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We back to some regular scheduled programming. We started off with, remember I did that story where it was this sheriff and he was mad that this other police officer wouldn't help him and he cussed him out and went on rants and stuff. Well, yeah, we starting back off with that when that nigga got fired. But he really, remember the news got in his business and asked him why he lied on his application and all that shit and all that other stuff. Yeah, well, he ended up getting fired because of that investigation. And what stood out to me with that town is they had a shit ton of police officers and not that many citizens. What the fuck y'all need all them police for? That's the first. What the fuck? It disappeared. Where's my plate? Okay, videos live. It disappeared. There you go.
I'm investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski. This investigation started with a tip from a KHE11 viewer just like you. The tipster
Fuck South Memphis, even though you said Trey. Yeah, you see, I don't think you beefing because you put my name in there, but you know, right now I'm in a war with a South Memphis nigga. I see, you can't, it triggers me. Just seeing South triggers me. But you can slide. Good morning.
Hey, you have to check out.
You know, North Memphis is the best part of town, though.
City, Texas. It's hiring a ton of cops, and word has it, a lot of them have troubled pasts. So we pulled on that.
Whoever it is, they've been subbed for at least 20 minutes. You typed it.
That took a while, and that journalistic journey led us to discover even more problems at this department. And in the end, our investigation got results. Just 2 weeks after our first story aired, the city council took swift and serious action. It fired the police chief and shut down the entire police force.
New tonight, a tiny Texas town of about 250 people has 50 sworn police officers on the force.
We're talking about Coffee City, that's up in Henderson County, some 3 hours north of Houston. They have 1 cop for every 5 residents. And what's more, Jeremy Rogowski discovered many of those officers have a history of problems wearing the badge.
On the banks of Lake Palestine, some 3 hours north of Houston, this dot on the map has quite a reputation.
I'm just talking shit. I remember you from Room Shaker.
Literally everywhere.
They run back and forth.
I'm assuming you were the Mo 3 sector. I remember you from Room Shaker though.
Only 249 people.
See, Walker Homes ain't bad no more. They rebuilt them up. GG, if you don't get your ass out of here, Whitehaven is the softest hood in Memphis, man. Stop the cap. Ain't no killers in Whitehaven. You got niggas like Huggy. And then remember, Huggy rubbed you the wrong way the first time you met her. That's a Whitehaven nigga player. You still won't say that about Whitehaven? Them the type of niggas y'all breed.
I'm investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski.
Don't be see. Y'all let's see. Who sent you with GG? South Memphis and GG? What are y'all doing? Y'all is trying to throw me off.
Just 2 weeks after our first story aired, the city council took swift and serious action. It fired the police chief.
I'm doing news stories.
It is 8:41 in the damn morning. I ain't even had my
Baby Petty is gone. I got to get work in.
I ain't even had my morning yet.
You know, I feel bad. I used to go to work. I used to work twice a day and now only do it once. I feel bad. I need a job. I need another job.
And shut down the entire police force.
It's just news.
New tonight, a tiny Texas town of about 250 people has 50 sworn police officers on the force.
We're talking about Coffee City, that's up in Henderson County, some 3 hours north of Houston. They have 1 cop for every 5 residents. And what's more, Jeremy Rogowski discovered many of those officers have a history of problems wearing the badge.
On the banks of Lake Palestine, some 3 hours north of Houston, this dot on the map has quite a reputation among those who drive through.
Coffee, Texas.
Literally everywhere.
They run back and forth. Back and forth.
A lot of officers policing a very small number of people.
Only 249 people, says the sign on the edge of town. And when you add up all the full-time cops and reserves,
50 officers.
Good Lord. That's crazy.
250
small
people.
town. Why do we
50
need so many?
officers.
Makes no sense. Why you need that many officers?
Coffee City hauled in $1 million in court fines last year for more than 5,000 violations, officers wrote, the most in the state for a town its size. But this isn't a story about a small town writing a bunch of tickets. You see, Coffee City is a magnet for troubled cops. How do we know? KHEU 11 investigates obtained personnel records from other police agencies.
Shit, I'm gonna go down there and be a police
more than
officer.
half of Coffee City officers had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from their previous jobs. A dozen were even criminally charged.
I was astounded to think that they've been hired by another agency.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor and retired Houston police captain.
I've never seen anything like that in my professional career, and I've seen a lot.
Their prior discipline ranges from excessive force to public drunkenness, untruthfulness, and association with known criminals. Criminal charges include DWI, theft, aggravated assault, family violence, and endangering a child.
If you knowingly are hiring an officer, trouble fast, and there's no business to be wearing a uniform. And it's a very, very precarious slope.
See, that's probably why I ain't see it the first time, Gigi, because of Facebook and I rarely be on that
Chief
motherfucker.
John J. Portillo quadrupled the department's size since he took the job 2 years ago. He says to provide 24/7 coverage for the town. Why would you hire so many people with all these red flags?
There's more to just what's on paper. And that's where I rely on my captain and my background investigators to go in and dig and
I
say, hey,
feel them, man. Yeah. there's more than what's just on paper. You have to look into their spirit, into their souls. Are they a good person?
What's the truth behind this?
The chief says criminal charges were often dismissed, dishonorable discharges overturned. He claims most applicants hired got on the wrong side of agency politics.
If you go back to the totality of a lot of these officer stuff, I would say 75%, if not more, they're being retaliated against from their agency.
Retaliate?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you take a chance, Chief?
I tried to look at the good in everybody, and I believe everybody deserves
So
an
35
opportunity.
of your officers
give a lot
set
of
up by other people.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
The opportunity to wear a badge allows his officers to work extra jobs, which can mean real money, $50 an hour or more.
I mean, let's not hide it from anybody. They're making probably about 80 to 100,000 a year doing that.
And I asked Portillo directly, does he get a cut of his officers' extra job wages? Twice during our interview, the chief said no. The only money he makes from extra jobs is from the ones he works himself. And that takes us from Coffee City to Houston and what's coming up tomorrow night at 10. That's Chief Portillo caught on camera cussing out an elected Harris County constable. Portillo was working security for a Southeast Houston apartment complex nearly 200 miles away from Coffee City. More on that video and what else we learned about Chief Portillo's past as our investigation continues tomorrow at 10. Brennan Mead.
Jeremy Rogowski, fascinated 50 people.
Fired for previous jobs, some even criminally charged.
Jeremy Rogowski discovered the man who hired them can have a short fuse when dealing with others who wear the badge here in Harris County.
Coffee City's police chief routinely works an extra job 200 miles away at this Houston apartment complex. And on this day, watch how John J. Portillo behaves.
I'm about to call Garcia and tell him he's gonna be next election.
It's an expletive-filled rant launched at the
See,
elected.
this the video that got the investigation started on him, which led to him being fired. He all the way out his jurisdiction cussing another police officer out because he didn't do what he wanted him to do, even though he was a habitual, worrisome ass police officer, always calling to get motherfuckers locked up and get special help and shit.
Constable of Harris County Precinct 2, Jerry Garcia.
Call Garcia right now.
Portillo wanted Precinct 2 to file charges on a man he says assaulted him at the complex. It was just one of many requests the constable says kept coming in from off-duty Coffee City cops.
Which at first was, no big deal. We help anybody and everybody. But then we noticed that it was becoming a pattern.
That pattern, the constable says, was draining resources. So Garcia reached out to the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
And we were advised to tell Chief Portillo that he had to file the charges.
But when deputies did just that, Portillo left a nasty voicemail.
And your captains, lieutenants, or whoever those nominal are that you have working for you, tell them your guys not to help us out.
It saddened me. It upset me to hear that. This isn't something small. This is pretty upsetting.
What upset the constable even more, the response his agency got back after alerting Coffee City's mayor. I don't see very much there that warrants any disciplinary action from the city, the mayor wrote. The officers are contracted by the property for off-duty police protection. You may want to reach out to them with any complaints.
Didn't think that it merited any disciplinary action against them. It's crazy.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor and retired Houston police captain.
Basically, you're enabling bad behavior now. And that's exactly what the mayor has done.
So what does Chief Portillo have to say for himself?
I was amped up. And I apologize to my city council, not city council.
Did you apologize to Constable Garcia?
No, I haven't had a chance. I haven't talked to him.
The cussing incident happened 6 months ago. Is that the real John J. Portillo that people are seeing in this video?
No, I don't just go off the handle.
Well, you did hear.
Yeah, because I got socked in the face. I was mad. I was red, and I was upset because they wouldn't, help me file the charges.
It's not the only example we found that calls into question Portillo's character and integrity. In his application to become Coffee City's chief, he never listed this, a DWI charge out of Florida in which he failed to appear in court. Why wouldn't you disclose that, Chief?
Didn't disclose it. It was over 10 years ago.
You had an
You
active
still had a warrant.
Huh? That was disposed of.
No, it wasn't. Court records show the day after our interview, Portillo hired a Florida defense attorney who filed a not guilty plea in the case. From the looks of it, you weren't being truthful on the application to which you hold the job this day. Chief?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, but that's not what he did.
The police chief with a warrant.
Yeah?
I put down everything that was in my mind when I filled out my application to the best of my knowledge.
Well, that same job application states there are criminal consequences for lying on a government document.
Okay, so there's more to this investigation tomorrow.
Whistleblowers.
Yeah, tomorrow we reveal how some Coffee City officers were working full-time right here in Harris County and how the chief suspended that division after we started asking questions.
We'll see that tomorrow night. Thank you, Jeremy.
See that.
Interesting.
A KH211 investigation leads to
investigative
changes at a Texas police department.
This week, we've showed you how the town of Coffee City, 3 hours north of Houston, is a magnet for cops with troubling backgrounds.
Now, the chief is temporarily shutting down a division that works here in Harris County after Jeremy Rogowski questioned whether it's legal.
Coffee City, Texas, a dot on the map with barely 250 residents, has a police force of 50 officers, 5 times the number of cops than any other Texas town its size. That's not the only thing unusual or odd. Turns out there are half dozen full-time Coffee City police officers who don't even work in Coffee City, Texas. Instead, they work from home more than 3 hours and nearly 200 miles away in Houston.
It's hard to believe that that is happening.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor.
I've never seen anything like that. There are
They work from
100
home.
questions that come to my mind.
How do you work from home as a police officer unless you're into administration?
Who are these officers? This internal email shows they're part of a warrant division. It reads, there is no need to go to Coffee City because you will be spending 95% of your time on the phone, calling people who have outstanding warrants and collecting failure to appear fines. And because it's a full-time position, there's an added perk.
It gives them the ability to go work on an extra job.
Coffee City Chief John J. Portillo concedes they're on the books as full-time because state law only allows full-time cops to work extra security jobs. At this Houston apartment complex, some Coffee City warrant officers do just that and make more than $50 an hour.
They work 2-3 days a week, 4 days a week.
But is it all above board? The warrant division is a performance-based division, and officers' pay is based on the failure to appears they collect.
They're basically bounty hunters in a way.
Freeman says that amounts to a commission for collecting fines.
It doesn't make any sense. From an ethical perspective, it just screams questions about the legitimacy of what they're doing.
That's because state law requires full-time peace officers to get paid at least at the federal minimum wage. But again, at the Coffee City Warrant Division,
The court gives them $150 for each warrant that they clear.
so they don't earn a salary apart from that $150
No, sir. No, sir.
a head. Correct. Okay. Is that legal?
I believe so.
I believe so.
2 days after our interview, Coffee City PD changed course, sending out this email to warrant detectives that said, due to unforeseen difficulties, the program has been suspended until such time as I can make sure that we are in compliance with labor laws. So whose job is it to police the police? The Department of Public Safety enforces any extra job violations. The Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, or TCOL, has the power to suspend or revoke a peace officer's license. That agency confirms to us it does have an open investigation into the Coffee City Police Department, guys.
You're raising a lot of eyebrows, Jeremy. Thank you.
Sure.
Jeremy knows these.
New developments tonight in the KHOU-11 investigation of the Coffee City Police Department.
Last week, we uncovered the town of 250 people has 50 officers on the force, and more than half of those officers have tainted past. Now, Jeremy Rogowski reports the Coffee City Council has suspended the chief of police.
Chief John J. Portillo is off the job for 30 days. The Coffee City Council voted to suspend him, pending an independent investigation into what we found. KHEO 11 Investigates revealed how Portillo routinely hired officers who had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from their previous law enforcement jobs for a wide range of misconduct or even criminal charges. We also reported on a profanity-filled rant the chief launched at a Harris County constable while he was working an extra security job in Houston. And we uncovered how Portillo failed to list on his job application this active DWI case out of Florida, which he failed to appear in court.
From the looks of it, you weren't being truthful on the application to which you hold the job this day. Chief?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, but that's not what it is. I'm not being truthful.
Forgot?
I put down everything that was in my mind when I filled out my case to the best of my knowledge.
Our investigation also revealed how Coffee City warrant officers didn't even work in Coffee City. They stayed home in Houston, spending their time on the phone, calling people with outstanding traffic warrants and collecting failure to appear fines. After we questioned Portillo about the program,
is that legal?
I believe so.
The chief suspended the warrant division.
We got hold of Portillo on the phone. The chief declined to comment about the suspension. And that's not the only shakeup in the Coffee City ranks. Sergeant Cody Welch resigned from the department. We don't know why. Welch also declined to comment. Jeremy Rogowski, KHOU 11 Investigates.
KHOU 11 Investigates uncovered questionable hiring practices in a small town police department with 50 officers for 250 people. Last night, we told you how the police chief was suspended for 30 days.
Tonight, there is new reaction from the mayor of Coffee City, who is talking for the very first time. Investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski tells us what he had to say and the changes the mayor says are on the way. Mayor Jeff Blackstone declined our repeated requests for an on-camera interview, but he did sit down with our sister station in Tyler. The mayor concedes he was unaware of many of the issues we uncovered.
First reaction was just kind of shocked.
Mayor Blackstone says he had no idea more than half of the 50 officers on the Coffee City Police Department had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from previous law enforcement jobs, some even criminally charged. The mayor and all the current city council members took office after John J. Portillo was hired as police chief. So the mayor says they were unaware of what we uncovered on Portillo's job application, that he failed to list an active DWI charge out of Florida.
I was not pleased whenever I heard the allegations, because if they are true, then that looks really bad. So we just have to make sure that we get to the bottom of all of this.
The mayor says while Chief Portillo is on a 30-day paid suspension, Coffee City will investigate the issues internally, as well as hiring an independent investigation firm. The scope of that probe will include the department's warrant officers, who we found didn't even work in Coffee City, but rather stayed home in Houston on the phone trying to collect outstanding traffic fines.
We weren't really fully aware of how it was operating, and that was all kind of brought to light.
How many fines are they having? Well, I guess they're getting people coming through. So everybody said they only got 250 citizens.
By the entire city council before any officer is hired. Its goal? Rebuilding the reputation of this town's police force and public trust.
These are allegations that we can't just turn a blind eye to.
The mayor also says Coffee City is asking the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, or TCO, for assistance with information. That agency already has an open investigation into the department. Jeremy Rogowski, KHOU 11 Investigates.
There was another one.
Up first tonight, breaking news from the KHOU 11 Investigates team.
Just a few hours ago, the city council in tiny Coffee City, Texas, voted unanimously to fire its police chief and deactivate the entire police department until a new chief can be hired. This comes after KHOU 11 Investigates uncovered questionable
So they was without police for some time. They fired them and suspended everybody else. So y'all niggas can't work. So crime just spiked up, huh?
Practices in the department in a series of reports.
Jeremy Rogowski is in Coffee City tonight with the exclusive update. Jeremy.
The Coffee City Council took less than 15 minutes to reach its decision. It means this tiny town of 250 people that once had 50 officers on the force now has none. Coffee City Council members took swift and serious action after what KHE11 investigates uncovered. A police department that routinely hired cops with troubling work histories, hired by a chief, John J. Portillo, who had an unresolved criminal charge, and who launched a questionable warrant division with officers who didn't even work in Coffee City.
There was things that we weren't aware of, and that just like really opened our eyes that, you know, there's major changes that have got to be made and made quickly.
Portillo had tried to email his resignation before the meeting, but council members refused to accept it and instead outright fired the chief. And in a bombshell move, it also voted to deactivate the department as a whole.
We just felt it was best to basically terminate the program. That way we were able to go out, find a new chief, let him do all the proper evaluations and determine if he wants to rehire anybody or just start from scratch.
The action was welcome news for many residents who say they've lived with over-aggressive policing for too long.
Ever since we moved here, it was every day cop pulling in.
Yeah, whatever. Quit crying. He got fired. The next one is out of Atlanta. Street gang accused of putting body in trunk. It's like 6 of them. It's 2 stories. Yeah, what about 2
details about
stories?
the death of a South Korean woman who came to the U.S. to join a religious group. Gwinnett police.
Wait, let's see here. 6 minutes. Well, fuck it. I know I got 2 stories. I just
For all of the suspects, accusing them of being in a street gang. Good evening, I'm Russ Spencer.
I'm Christine Spiro. 4 of the 6 suspects accused of beating and starving the victim to death before stuffing her body in the trunk of a vehicle went before a judge today. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us from the Gwinnett County Jail, where, Angelique, most of those suspects are being held.
That is right, Christine. Gwinnett police said all along this was an active investigation. And just about 2 hours ago, they announced these new charges that all 6 suspects in this horrific case will now face street gang charges.
Are you able to afford an attorney, or would you like me to appoint you an attorney?
We got our first look at the felony murder suspects in court Friday, accused of beating, starving, and then burning the body of a young Korean woman. Police say the victim is in her 20s or 30s and came to this country to join a religious group. Police say 3 of the suspects are brothers, and the female is a girlfriend to one of the brothers. In a major development, Fox 5 News has learned police believe the victim's injuries are consistent with a religious ritual. The suspects have all said they belong to what appears to be an obscure religious group called Soldiers of Christ. But again, Friday, police slapped all 6 suspects with street gang charges.
You have 4 felony charges. One is tampering with evidence. The next one is concealing the death of another. The third is felony murder. And the 4th is false imprisonment.
All of the suspects appeared very compliant and mannerable in court. They all had court interpreters. The 6th suspect is a juvenile, just 14 years old, and one suspect is still in the hospital with unrelated injuries. Still, neighbors are stunned that police say such violence was going on in the basement of a house in their upscale subdivision.
Kind of freaking out because I leave my door open all the time. The cars are unlocked all the time. So it's kind of freaky when you stop, 1 second and you realize it's next to your house.
And another troubling detail, police say when they found that victim's body in the trunk, she only weighed 70 pounds. Tonight, they are still trying to notify her family in South Korea. We're live in Gwinnett County. Angelique Proctor, Fox News.
All the details are troubling about this one, Angelique. Thanks.
See if
The
this will
6
say
people are
something
facing murder charges after a woman's body was found in the trunk of a car at a popular Gwinnett County spa. These are 4 of the mugshots that we have so far. Channel 2 Gwinnett County Bureau Chief Matt Johnson live in Lawrenceville. So Matt, police shared some disturbing details with this just about an hour ago.
That's right. Police believe that female victim came here from South Korea to join a religious group. But police say that the group that she joined here in this house ended up abusing her and killing her. And neighbors I spoke
Son
to
of
said
a
they had
bitch, this is a current cuss case. She moved from Korea to get up with some religious nuts, and they abused her and killed her.
no idea
And
this
they
was
call it
going
the
on. And
street
even
gang.
described the family that lives here as a normal family, but you can imagine how horrified they are today. Within the last hour, police released new disturbing details about this murder investigation. I want to show you pictures of 4 of the adult suspects in jail right now facing murder charges. They're in their 20s.
They all Koreans. All these motherfuckers' last name is Lee. Daewon Lee, Junho Lee, Hyun Ji Lee, and Jun-hoon Lee. Y'all know I said all their first names wrong, but I just said every letter that was in that motherfucker. But they all Lees.
2 of them were brothers.
Bruce
They're
Lee
linked to the
Kimbo.
murder of the woman found dead in the parking lot of a Gwinnett County sauna. Police believe that an additional suspect, 26-year-old Eric Hunn, is the one who drove the body to Pleasant Hill Road parking lot Tuesday. But investigators believe the victim was abused at this Lawrenceville house on Stable Gate for weeks before her death. Police say the woman, who has not been identified, came from South Korea to Gwinnett County over the summer to join a church called the Soldiers of Christ. It's at this house where police say she was hid in the basement and abused since August and may have even been dead since August.
Apparently, the victim was subjected to beatings, malnourishment, which subsequently resulted in what the medical examiner's office believes the cause of her death.
Man, I know she was praying when all of this was going on. I just know it.
The victim was about 70 pounds when she was discovered by detectives.
Yay! Hey, B.
And the exact cause of death is still being investigated, but malnourishment is believed to be a contributing factor. Now, there is a lot to unpack here about these suspects, including one 15-year-old who's in police custody in a hospital, and another one of those 6 suspects is also in police custody. We're putting together what we know about this religious organization and also many more details about this case for Channel 2 Action News starting at 5. Live in Gwinnett County, Matt Johnson, Channel 2 Action News.
All right, the next one is
2 teens accused of murder.
Las Vegas team expected slap on the wrist for killing. Did y'all hear about that? It was 2 dickheads that decided they were going to steal a car, drive around recording themselves running people over. Now, hit 2 people that day. One of them died. And because they was teens, one of them was like, well, I'll be out quick. I ain't got to do no time. He said, I'll be out in 30 days is what one of them said. He expecting a slap on the wrist. But yeah, they were recording this shit. Dumbass young folk.
After an alleged crime spree goes viral, make their first appearance in adult court. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy was there. Has more on this case along with never before heard details.
Denise and Brian, I've learned Jesus Ayala, the accused driver, appeared to show no remorse when he was taken into custody, even referring to the hit and run and telling an officer he'll get a slap on the wrist since he's in the juvenile system. As we've reported, he has a lengthy criminal history there, but he's not in the juvenile system anymore. Jesus Ayala appearing in adult court for the first time Thursday, facing 18 charges, including murder.
Court does find probable cause for your arrest in this case.
His co-defendant, Jameer Keys, facing 3 charges, also including murder. The teens are accused of killing retired police chief Andy Probst, intentionally hitting him as he rode his bicycle in a designated bike lane. Ayala, the accused driver. Keys, the accused passenger who recorded this video. Metro Police say this was the 3rd hit and run during their crime spree on August 14th. They're accused of hitting another cyclist earlier that morning, a 72-year-old man who survived. The 8 News Now investigators confirming all 3 hit and runs are on video.
We only talked about 2 hit and runs. I mentioned the 3rd one. Just talked about 2.
Police say the teens also stole 4 cars that day. Ayala, 17 at the time, now 18. Keys, 16 years old.
Do you believe these teens should remain in custody, and what do you think is an appropriate bail amount for each of them?
Determination of whether somebody should remain in custody is based upon whether they're a flight risk or danger to the community. Okay? I believe they're potentially both. They have certainly proved that they are dangerous.
Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson also explaining how his office will work to prosecute both teens for murder.
Well, under law in Nevada and most any other place, if you aid and abet, encourage, facilitate, or help in any way another person to commit a crime, you're equally guilty.
We've been digging for more details and just learned more about the video investigators say they found on Ayala's cell phone, a similar scene showing the teens laughing as the engine accelerated to hit the first cyclist who survived. We've learned one of them is heard saying, "bump him" a few times. The teens are expected back in court on Tuesday. We'll be there. Back to you, Brian.
The Democratic senator who...
All right. Senator Menendez indicted on bribery charges after finding gold bars and cash. That boy was living his best life. How the fuck a senator get gold bars?
beat the rap on corruption charges before is back in trouble again, facing federal bribery charges. As Willie James Inman reports, Senator Bob Menendez and his wife are denying any wrongdoing.
Federal authorities announced bribery charges against New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez and his wife.
Oh, Menendez, if it's the feds, because hold on, let me skip this bit. They said he didn't beat corruption charges before, but was it the feds? Typically, when the feds come in and they fuck with politicians, they go into jail. Yes, some kinfolk have to, do some things like that.
Democratic senator who beat the rap on corruption charges before is back in trouble again.
The old Tennessee Waltz sting. They got a lot of niggas
facing federal bribery charges. As Willie James Inman reports, Senator Bob Menendez and his wife are denying any wrongdoing.
Federal authorities announced bribery charges against New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez and his wife, alleging the Democrat used his influence to benefit the government of Egypt as well as 3 Egyptian businessmen.
The indictment alleges that Hannah, Uribe, and Davies provided bribes in the form of cash, gold, home mortgage payments, a low show or a no-show job for Nadine Menendez.
According to the indictment, the couple allegedly accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bribes from the 3 men. FBI agents raided the Menendez home in June of 2022. Uncovering over $480,000 in cash stuffed in envelopes and closets.
There are things that Senator Menendez says he can do for his constituents and things that he says he cannot do for his constituents. But we allege that behind the scenes, Senator Menendez was doing those things for certain people.
Officials also found a Mercedes-Benz one of the men allegedly provided to the couple. Following the release of the indictment, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said in a statement that Senator Menendez would temporarily step down.
I need to be a damn senator
from his post as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee.
Really, the allegation here is that he abused the public trust, that he used this official position and he used it to increase his own bank account and his wife's bank account.
In a statement, Senator Menendez says prosecutors are misrepresenting the normal work of a congressional office, calling the claims against him false. He says he's confident the matter will be successfully resolved once all the facts are presented. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
Thanks for joining us for 10 Tampa Bay This Weekend. I'm Miranda Parnell. We begin tonight with developments out of
6 people, including 3 children, dead after train crashes into SUV on tracks.
Plant City from last night's tragic train crash. Now 6 people are dead, including 3 children, and 1 person is still in the hospital with life-threatening injuries after that train crashed into an SUV last night. The Hillsborough County Sheriff told us the people in the SUV were traveling to a birthday party. This happened on US 92 on Jim Leffler Circle. The sheriff says an oncoming train struck the vehicle, reportedly causing 5 passengers to be violently ejected from the SUV.
They were pronounced dead at the scene. The driver and front passenger were taken to Lakeland Regional Hospital with life-threatening injuries. And this morning, deputies announced that the driver also died. Right now, 10 Tampa Bay's Miguel Octavio is live nearby where this happened. And Miguel, we are learning more about the people who lost their lives.
Miranda, this is just a devastating moment for some loved ones here in Plant City. The youngest person we know who died here, just 9 years old. I just spoke with the aunt of the sole survivor of this crash, who is still in the hospital fighting for his life. I just learned moments ago there is a GoFundMe going out to support that family. More in that in just a moment. But behind me is where that crash happened. The sheriff told me an SUV of 7 people were on their way to a party past this, but at some point, just based on their investigation, they say the driver did not stop, was rolling, and at some point after 6:45, a freight train collided with that SUV. And just looking inside, you can see some makeshift memorials. There were some bundles of flowers, and nearby you can still see remnants of the crash as well, including a bumper, a car door, springs as well. Some neighbors who live just across the street say they are heartbroken to learn not only did 6 people die, but that children were involved.
And then, it's just sad and it's hard to watch. Now they're pulling out bodies and it's children. It's sad. Yeah,
it really is. This is honestly the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It really is.
And we just want to take a moment to pay respects to those who lost their lives. The sheriff's office released their names, and they identified them as Jose Hernandez, 52 years old, the driver, and Adelia Hernandez, 50 years old, Jacob Lopez, 17 years old, Alyssa Hernandez, 17 years old. The sheriff also adds Aniela Hernandez, 22 years old, and the youngest, Julian Hernandez, just 9 years old. And one of the men, 23-year-old Guillermo Gama, is still at Lakeland Regional in critical condition. Again, I just spoke with his aunt moments ago, and she tells me there is some sort of fund going around to support that family. We'll take that information and share that as soon as we can. But right now, some neighbors here are just hoping for some sort of added security where this crossing is, perhaps flashing lights, perhaps crossing arms that can alert drivers even more that there could be a train passing here. In the meantime, they're just hoping not one more crash takes place here, so they don't have to go through this anytime soon. Reporting live in Plant City, Miguel Octavio, 10 Tampa Bay.
And that train was affiliated with CSX. A spokesperson says the company extends its deepest sympathies to everyone impacted and is working to support law enforcement with its investigation. As the probe into that crash continues, investigators are trying to figure out what may have caused the driver to slow crawl onto the tracks in the first place. Our Aaron Parsegian speaks with an expert about what safety features were in place at this particular crossing.
By viewing the camera footage, we see the driver of this SUV pull up and slow crawl across the railroad crossing, but never stop to look both ways.
Why that is what investigators are left to figure out after 6 people were killed in a car struck by a train at this Plant City Railroad crossing.
This is basically a private road, like an access road to somebody's residence.
Michael Callanan is a rail safety expert and former conductor. He says the railroad crossing and stop signs are in view, and because it's a private road, other safety measures are legally required.
It's not like a regular traveled street that's maintained by the state, county, or a city.
When it comes to the engineer, the sheriff says he did everything he could to slow the train down. And outside of laying on the horn and flashing lights, Callanan says there's little they can do if a car drives on the tracks in front of them.
And especially at 55 miles an hour for a freight train that may be a mile long or a mile and a half, it takes a good quarter of a mile to a half mile to get the train stopped.
On Sunday, officials were on site taking photos of the rail now surrounded by debris.
I'm assuming since there were fatalities, federal regulators will be on the scene at some point to assist in the investigation.
And as they work the case, the scene now a tragic reminder for everyone on the roads.
We do say on the railroad, expect a train at any time, any direction.
In Plant City, Aaron Parsegian, 10 Tampa Bay.
As we continue to follow developments on the crash.
The next one is some political update. They're saying Trump holds small edge over Biden in polls. This was 2 weeks ago.
We're going to win. I think we're going to win an election the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. I don't think anything's going to stop
I think tonight I'm going to review the debate they had the other
because
day,
people see what's happened
so
to
we
our
can see what
country.
them dummies said about each other.
Welcome back to America Decides. That was former President Trump remaining confident about his chances in 2024. A new CBS News poll is giving us an idea of what a potential rematch between him and President Biden could look like. Our poll shows Trump holding a 1-point lead over the president among likely voters. These results are within the margin of error. Anthony Salvanto and Bo Erickson join us now. Anthony is CBS News' Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, and Bo is a CBS News White House reporter. Anthony, I want to start with you. Walk us through some of your key findings.
Hey, Nicole. Look, for starters, it's the economy driving a lot of that. You see people who say that they're not financially as well off as they were before the pandemic. And I think that's the important dividing line for people. Well, they're going more for Donald Trump. So that's number one. But I want to put the whole race in context here for people. It's not necessarily a race that people suggest they want to see. We asked, how would a rematch like this make you feel? And nearly 2/3 says it would make them feel like the political system was broken. And then another third actually come down a little bit on primary voters that we've been following and polling in other areas, and that they're out of touch. So that sort of sets the context. It's very early, but that's where people start, Nicole.
Yeah, well, I really want to drill down on that graphic because what jumped out at me are the 8%, single digits, who think that either President Biden or the former president are the best candidates. I mean, what does that say about the state of the 2024 race?
What it tells you is people say there is a lot at stake. It's the flip side of saying that the system is broken if, in their minds, it produces these candidates. But the other thing I would add is, as much as they think democracy is at stake, the rule of law is at stake, they also think that's only going to be safe. Democracy is only going to be safe if their guy wins, Nicole.
And Bo, I know you talked to some Democratic voters in Pennsylvania about the president heading into 2024. What was the sentiment on the ground?
Well, this is a really key area of southeastern Pennsylvania. It's where President Biden has to run up the score again with a lot of Democratic voters in order to be able to win the state again in 2024, maybe against former President Trump, if that is that rematch happening. And what I heard a lot talking to these Democratic voters is that they have some concerns about President Biden's age. He's 80 years old, and if he's tough enough. So we can actually listen to how they describe some of these concerns.
I think he's too old to be president right now.
I think he could do better. I think he's trying, but he's not strong enough. Like, he needs to put his foot down a little bit more.
I want there to be a Democrat that is competent for all 4 years.
And so talking to these voters, when you hear them talk about age, when you talk a little bit more about them, it kind of seems like age is like a proxy for health. They're concerned about the president's health and his future health. And it should be noted that the White House doctor has given Biden a clean bill of health. He calls him a healthy, vigorous 80-year-old. But some of these concerns that they were saying, other people said that the president seemed feeble. Another Democrat said, like, President Biden could use a Monster energy drink. So we'll see, maybe he'll start drinking those. But one solution that they said is that they need to see more President Biden out to kind of prove some of his skeptics wrong if they do have those concerns.
And Anthony, very briefly, I mean, I know the poll that you conducted also touches a bit on the age issue. It also touches on Democrats' feelings with respect to defending democracy. What else did you find?
Well, let me pick up on that word you heard there, tough, right? Now, Joe Biden gets described as calm, predictable, all things that helped him in 2020, but tough is not very high. Who are they asking these questions? What does that mean for Democrats, since we're talking about them in particular, very briefly? What I want to show you is that Democrats think that not only will democracy be in danger if Biden doesn't win, but that 4 in 10 of them think he's not being tough enough towards Republicans. Those two things connect, right? If they see a danger and they want someone who they perceive is tougher, then that's not meeting what they want in a president at the moment. Maybe that stirs a little bit of concern, Nicole.
Yeah, and speaking of qualities with respect to various candidates, there also has been a lot of talk, Bo, about what role Vice President Harris could potentially play on the campaign. Let's play some more of what voters told you about that in Pennsylvania, and we'll get your reaction on the other side.
She's too quiet. She's not, she's not standing like she should stand. You know what I mean? I feel like she has a lot more in her that we're not hearing. I feel like she's being silenced, or she's kind of.
Ma'am, she the vice president. She ain't supposed to say shit, ma'am. Their job is not to be seen. You didn't hear shit from Pence when he was the vice president. They shut the fuck up.
Worried about,
this is a black woman saying we need to hear the black woman talk more. No, ma'am, that's not her job description. Her job description is to be back up, to be the partner, to be the sidekick.
Can say what she cannot say.
I really thought that she would have a more prominent role, and we would see more of
Now
her.
they got this old Mexican pie face granny up here talking. So they're just gonna do all the minority women saying what Kamala Harris should be doing. They're trying to rile her up to be an ignorant black woman.
Especially for the young girls in school as a role model.
It's really not necessary to always be in the headlines. You still can get a lot of work done.
Oh, they gave us a gay.
Behind the scenes.
2 women in a gay.
I don't worry that we don't hear a lot from our VP.
And of course, the administration and the campaign continues to defend the vice president's role. But what else did you hear from voters on the trail?
So these voters may be to be expected. These are Democrats. So they are actually supportive of Vice President Harris. And they noted that vice presidents don't usually have center stage when it comes to these re-election campaigns. But that word that we heard from the first woman there, silence, that is a word that several people have brought up to me. And I thought that was really interesting and maybe a tell for maybe a future problem for the campaign.
But did most of the voters you talked to, did they feel that she still is the best running mate for the president?
Yes, they did. They really still wanted her on the ticket here, but they want to hear more from her. And they want her to really latch on to some of these big ticket issues.
Why do they need
All right, well, Bill Erickson, thanks so much for your coverage on the trail.
I'm joined now by a co-chair of the
There's a reason they'll be having vice presidential debates and shit. Don't nobody want to hear them talk. This one is Speaker McCarthy is backing away from a deal he made to keep government open, because of course what's an election cycle without a government shutdown, ladies and gentlemen.
It's 2024 campaign. Democratic Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. He is, of course, also assistant Democratic leader in the House. Congressman Clyburn, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much for having me back.
Let's delve into some of these numbers. Our poll shows that President Biden is in a dead heat with former President Trump, who has been indicted 4 times. Why is that?
Well, I think the American people are focused more on style than substance, and that is the way it is in politics. Joe Biden is a man full of substance. The style is something you get from another candidate, you won't get it from him. He believes in democracy, he believes in the American dream, and he does what he possibly can.
This is an old Negro spiritual back in the Democratic Party. Won't know why he sound like that. It sound like he just left church and he was on the pulpit for 3 hours. But I guess it's just been ingrained in him so long that he just sounds like that. He sound like he will break out into a Negro spiritual at any minute, y'all.
To help people fulfill that dream and maintain this democracy, and that is not the kind of stuff that you poll very well.
Well, Congressman, our poll shows that the vast majority of Democrats want to see a challenger to President Biden. Is he the strongest candidate for 2024?
I think he is the strongest candidate, and I believe very strongly that the American people believe that as well. When you are out this far, I remember back, was it 2010, 2012? We got shellacked in 2010. And in 2012, all the polls I saw said Obama had no chance of getting reelected. The Democrats wanted an alternative to Obama. What happened in 2012 is not history. He won very comfortably. And I think the same thing will happen here.
Well, as you know, in a close election, every single vote counts. And
Absolutely.
as we laid out, his support among some of his core groups, African Americans, Latinos, young voters, has dropped. How do you make sure they don't stay at home, Congressman?
They will not stay at home. We understand what's at stake here. The problem with me is I spend too much time studying history, and I see what's going on here. I know where the playbook came from that resulted in January 6th. It came from the 1876 elections, almost exactly. Named in places at same states, alternative electors. They had a scheme put together with a playbook that came out of that election. Now that people are beginning to focus on that, and let me say something else. I was in that hall last night. I've been around here all week with African Americans coming in from all over the country. If you think that he's lost 17% support among African Americans, you just got another thing coming. He is not in any trouble with African Americans in this country. I guarantee you that.
All right. Well, let's turn to Vice President Harris. Do you see her as the future of the Democratic Party?
I see her as a part of that future. Absolutely.
Is she the future, though? Is she the future of the Democratic Party?
Oh, she could very well be. I think she is running a very good campaign. Her speech last night was great, and I look to her as a successor to this president. But I also know the history of that as well. It's not a given. You don't automatically move up. She'll have to compete going forward with whoever may have dreams and aspirations. And I think she will acquit herself well.
Well, I know that you are saying you don't look at the polls too much, but our poll does show her favorability is actually lower than President Biden and even than former President Trump. Why do you think she's not resonating more with voters? What do you think the issue is?
Because when you compare the first woman of color and first woman to be vice president of the United States, and compare that to all of the history before, you will get that. I think that during this campaign, she will demonstrate, as she did in that hall last night, that she knows exactly what she's doing. She has the capacity and the capability to be president of the United States if called upon to do so.
Let's move on to what is happening where you spend your day every day on Capitol Hill and the potential government shutdown that is looming. It seems like, based on my conversations overnight, talking to Republican sources, they are no closer to reaching a deal. Now there's some action in the Senate, potentially to try to get something that Democrats and Republicans can support. Tell me what you and other Democrats are specifically doing to try to avoid a shutdown here, Congressman.
Well, we Democrats believe very strongly it's when you make a deal, you live by it. And the Speaker made a deal to what the budget would look like. Democrats agreed to it. House Democrats, Democrats in the Senate, even Republicans in the Senate agreed to it. They have marked up to those top lines. And then all of a sudden, McCarthy seemed to be backing away from the deal because 5 or 6 people on his side of the aisle seem to be calling the shots. The tail wagging the dog is not the way you do this.
Understood, but don't Democrats, given that it's potential government shutdown, bear some responsibility? Is there any conversations, or you having conversations behind the scenes to try to keep the government open?
Well, Hakeem Jeffries is a great leader, and I think he's doing.
Can you answer if Democrats bear any responsibility in a possible shutdown? Don't go past that question.
Exactly what needs to be done to keep the lines of communications open.
As we sit here today, do you think the government will shut down? Is it a foregone conclusion at this point?
It is not a foregone conclusion, and I don't think we'll get to that point. I certainly hope not.
Let's talk about Senator Menendez, obviously indicted, as we've been talking about throughout the hour. Should he step down?
I'm leaving that up to Democrats in New Jersey. They have a Democratic governor.
But you're a Democrat,
yes.
Congressman. Doesn't this cast a cloud potentially over your party at a critical moment? Should he step down?
I don't think so. We have to compare apples to apples. And when you compare apples to apples, I don't think you compare a United States senator to the president of the United States. That's a big, big difference.
Despite the fact that you have a long list of Democrats who are now calling on him to step down, despite the fact that he's been accused of taking bribes to help Egypt. Again, innocent until proven guilty, but these are serious allegations.
They are serious, and I read them, and I hope they are not true. I hope there's an explanation that he says there is. I would like to hear it.
Nigga, you know the feds involved. It's definitely true.
But I'm going to leave it up to him and his friends among the Democrats in New Jersey.
Let me ask you about the impeachment inquiry that is going to unfold this week on Capitol Hill. I know that you and your fellow Democrats have called this pure politics, but big picture, they're trying to see if there's any link between Hunter Biden and the president and Hunter Biden's business dealings. Are you comfortable with a family member profiting off of their last name in this town?
Yes.
Well, you know, we all, to some extent, live.
I have no problem with it. Why shouldn't he get perks off his daddy being the president? I ain't got no problem with it.
So that our children can be proud of the name that we've given them. I have 3 daughters, and I want them to feel very comfortable being a Clyburn. And I do know that is very, very important for going forward. But that doesn't mean that I want them to do things that are unseemly to the name.
Yeah, but if motherfuckers want to give you free shit and give you free meals and all of that because of your last name, and they want to fly you out overseas and shit because of your last name and because you can get them an ear, I don't have no problem with that.
I do want them to use the name to their benefit.
And yet President Biden, according to one witness testimony, was on the phone 20 times with Hunter Biden's business associates. It's described as pleasantries, but is that appropriate?
Well, his associates said they were pleasantries, but I think it's appropriate to be a father to your son. And if your son is having a problem, and we all know the history of the problem that Hunter has with addiction, and he is being a father to his son, you don't impeach a man for being a father to his children.
Congressman Jim Clyburn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
We really appreciate it.
That nigga look like the cream of wheat, man. Okay, this next story says the nearly 14-foot gator involved.
First on Fox, a gruesome discovery in Pinellas County, where witnesses found this almost 14-foot gator with a body in its mouth this afternoon. This happened in the Ridgecrest community along 134th Street near Oakland Road. Fox 13's Justin Matthews is out there live for us tonight. And Justin, I know you've been out there all afternoon. You actually spoke to a witness who saw this and went to get help. What did he have to say?
Yeah, it's a terrifying story. The witness I spoke to says he saw this gator in the water, ran to this fire station behind me, not too far. It's only about 400 feet from where he saw that huge alligator.
I was on my way to a job interview, and I was looking to the lake just, for fish and stuff, and I spotted the gator.
Jamarcus Bullard says he took a good look at it and noticed something was in the gator's mouth.
I noticed it had a body in its mouth, like a lower torso. So once I saw that, I ran straight to the fire department and got them. They confirmed there was a body.
Bullard says seeing something like that is surreal and tragic.
I thought it was fake. It was my first time seeing a gator in real life as well. So I was just like, it was pretty cool. But like once I saw what it had, I was like, is that like a mannequin body? It looked like it was pale and white.
After alerting the fire department, dozens of Pinellas County Sheriff's deputies and FWC officers got to the scene. A huge response along 134th Street North off of Ulmerton Road in Largo. Sky Fox overhead, showing a large alligator on the ground. Investigators looking for answers. All of this in close proximity to a Head Start and a Boys and Girls Club.
All I keep thinking about is like all these little kids that go to school right behind me, and they come this way every single day.
Others who live nearby say they've seen some small alligators in the area before, but nothing quite like this. And in a place where there are a lot of pedestrians.
I mean, that it could have been anybody,
It's scary to think about. And Bullard says, with gators around, he's not going to be doing much walking in his neighborhood anymore.
I'm going to get me a bike or start catching the bus to work. I mean, it's this. They don't have any gates or anything like that. They got small little gates, but somebody dies.
Yeah, the FWC confirmed tonight that the alligator is just under 14 feet long, as you heard, and it was killed humanely. The agency says a body was found in the waterway with the gator, but the FWC isn't saying anything about who this victim is and if that body has anything to do with the alligator, if the alligator actually killed a person. That is still to be determined tonight.
So if the alligator didn't kill a person, why was it humane to kill? If it didn't have no body. All right, next one. Flight attendant found dead with sock in her mouth.
Suspicious death at a hotel right next to Philadelphia International Airport.
The body of a flight attendant was removed from a hotel room late last night. Action News reporter Walter Perez live for us now at the scene with what we're learning this hour. Walter.
That's right, Sherry and Rick. Even right now, still a lot more questions and answers regarding this case. But what we do know is that a 66-year-old woman was found dead inside the Marriott here behind me at the airport with a sock in her mouth. Investigators are referring to the death of a woman inside the airport Marriott as suspicious because, quite frankly, there are still more questions than answers. Sources tell Action News that woman was an American Airlines flight attendant who was supposed to have checked out of the hotel 2 days ago. When the cleaning staff finally made the discovery, police were notified and arrived right around 10:45 last night.
How do you get to stay in a hotel like 2 days past when you're supposed to check out? Cleaning staff make a discovery 2 days. Like cleaning staff is they call the shit out your room. They build your card. Well, shit, they guess they build her card for 2 days until she ain't had no more money. But still, they typically don't do that without hearing you authorize it. They don't just go ahead and do it. Like they like, what's up? Let's check out tab. You staying another day? Finna run it.
Inside that room, they found several sealed bottles of prescription drugs and a 66-year-old woman dead with a sock in her mouth. People we spoke with here at the airport say the whole thing is unnerving.
That's very sad. I'm sad for her family that, you know, her body was found in a hotel. That's pretty sad.
It's very strange, and it seems like a lot of unanswered questions, but very sad.
Police also say there were no signs of forced entry, no signs of a struggle, and no weapons recovered. Autopsy results are pending. Now, what we still don't know at this point is, was this a murder? Was this a suicide? Or did she just die? Also, was the sock deep enough inside her mouth to asphyxiate her? In other words, was this the actual cause of death? And finally, how was she inside that room for 2 days after checkout and nobody noticed? Once again, a lot more questions and answers regarding this case. Reporting live from the airport, Walter Perez, Channel 6, Action News. Sorry?
Okay, the next one. What's it say? Philadelphia cheesesteak shop hires armed agents to protect customers outside. Damn, niggas can't buy a cheesesteak. Rainer, it's rough like that up there. Tight turn up.
Authentic sandwiches and armed security. One restaurant is creating a different type of dining experience to keep customers safe as concerns of crime and violence plague the city.
The original Jim Steaks in West Philadelphia making a comeback, reopening under the name Jim's West. The additional security measures, part of the restaurant's new identity, all to match the new reality.
It's Friday night. I'm Shari Williams alongside Gray Hall. The big story on Action News tonight is heavy security guarding the food line outside of Jim's West.
There have been lines around the block since the location reopened. People saying they are excited about these cheesesteaks, but when it comes to the security with those rifles, the reaction mixed about this.
Yeah, Action News reporter Brianna Smith now joining us live with what people are saying about what they saw while waiting for their cheesesteaks.
Well, Shari and Gray, some customers say they appreciate the armed agents to keep them safe when they are out and just trying to eat. However, others argue it's alarming to see an AR-15.
I'm so excited. The food has always been good.
In my opinion, the best cheesesteak in town.
Residents are thrilled the original Jim's West Steaks in West Philadelphia is back in business.
Thank you.
But this time, customers can expect to see armed agents out front.
The violence is spiked. It's good goes up and down. You want people to be
feel safe and to be safe, you know. So when they come out and eat, they don't have to worry about what type of harm.
Our lines are down the block, so while you standing here in line, connecting with other people that you may not know, we got security right here just to keep you guys safe.
The owners hope their presence prevents crimes.
They also want to make sure niggas don't get to arguing over spots in line and start shooting and shit. That's another reason. It's for the people as well, so they won't act a damn fool because the lines are around the corner. Niggas get impatient. You skipping, bro? Why you on my shoe?
It's myself. Usually be other agents who's sworn and certified through the state of Pennsylvania to do security work when they're off duty from what they're doing. All of us are former military, police, law enforcement background.
Other business owners have hired armed agents too, including the Carco gas station in North Philadelphia.
As a business, if you want to secure your business and you want to make sure everybody's safe, you got to spend that extra money.
While some customers support the enhanced security,
Safety and good food is always a plus.
If it deters it, I can't complain, I guess. But I'm not exactly a big fan of guns, but I get it.
Others think it's not necessary outside of Jim's West.
Now, North Philly, where that gas station is, where the guys out there with machine gun, I can understand that. But here,
This is
it's a little
North
overkill.
Philly?
Even if you just had an on guard, okay, but just walking around with a machine gun, it's not family friendly.
I'm here to protect you. I'm not here to, cause any trouble or be that guy with the rifle.
Yeah, that's the goal, to keep everyone safe. Now, customers can expect to see armed agents outside the building Thursday through Sunday during business hours. Reporting live along the Parkway, Brianna Smith for Action News at 10 on PHL 17.
Definitely something to talk about. Brianna, thank you.
Welcome back.
Okay, this one. Tennessee inmate Kevin Burns fights for freedom from death row.
Everyone. There are those in this country who would argue the criminal justice system is not perfect. In fact, they might say it's flawed, where there are those who commit severe crimes and are at times allowed to go free, and those who take part in smaller criminal acts and get harsher penalties. We've made it an effort here to highlight those inequalities on crime. And that's where we find ourselves tonight, in a story that took us to Tennessee after the Supreme Court refused to step in and commute the death sentence of one man who has served the majority of his life behind bars, counting down until his judgment day. In tonight's Prime Focus, we bring you the story of Kevin Burns, the thousands of others he represents, and the fight for clemency he and his family continue to wage every day.
Thank you so much, Lord God, for your mercies and your loving kindnesses toward me and the love that you have shown the whole world.
Parishioners of the Franklin Community Church gather every Sunday in this gymnasium just outside of Nashville.
Most of all, I thank you for this opportunity, Lord God, and to share what you placed in my heart and my life with Franklin Community Church.
Kevin Burns says he was called by God to preach the gospel, and for decades now, he's been waiting for a miracle.
Thank you for your compassion, Lord God.
As his prayers go up, their tears come down. Their hearts weigh heavy for Kevin Burns, an ordained minister on death row.
This call is from an inmate at the Tennessee Department of Corrections.
Hi, Kevin. This is Lindsay Davis from ABC News. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Today is the best day of my life.
It's also roughly the 11,300th day of his life that Burns has spent behind bars. In fact, he's lived the past 28 years on death row for a murder he says he did not commit.
Kevin, so many people who are in prison say that they're innocent, say that they're not guilty. Why should people believe you?
I am not a murderer. I'm not who those prosecutors are portraying me to be.
At 54 years old, Kevin Burns has spent more years inside the Riverbend Maximum Security Prison in Nashville than he lived as a free man. He was arrested in 1992. He says he was present at the scene of the crime that left two men dead, but denies pulling the trigger and refused to take a plea deal because he said he would have had to plead guilty to something he did not do.
You actually were sentenced and received the death penalty.
You never thought that that would be a possible outcome.
I was traumatized, and at the same time, I felt paralyzed. I felt like I didn't even feel like I was breathing. I was just stunned.
I'm gonna have to go back to what the white man said earlier about them two teams and the other guy being charged because he was there, even though he wasn't the one driving, but he was there recording. He said he was at the scene, but he didn't pull the trigger. You're an accessory. I'm sure. What did he call the police afterwards and any of that other stuff?
His story begins in this modest two-bedroom home, surrounded by 9 siblings in West Memphis, Arkansas, a rural trucking hub with high crime and a poverty rate more than double the national average.
He was kind, hardworking, and good in school. Good son, kind and respectful.
Burns says he had a good childhood. He graduated from high school, but chose not to go to college. Before his arrest in 1992, he was working at Shoney's, a popular chain restaurant in the South. In his free time, he was part of a rap group called SIR.
All the kids, back then were rapping in different type of musics.
April 20th, 1992 was Kevin Burns' 23rd birthday. It was also the day that would change his life forever. While the prison where he's incarcerated does not allow cameras on death row, we were able to talk to him on the phone about that fateful day.
I think my friends are planning a surprise party for me or something, so it's this suspense that I have, an expectation of celebrating my day, so I don't want no part of any conflict.
Burns said he thought he was on his way to a recording studio with Derek Guerin, Carlito Adams, Kevin Shaw, and 2 others to celebrate. But along the way, they made a stop and got out and walked up to a car in a driveway with 4 people inside. His friend Adams reportedly had previously had an argument with one of the men in the car and wanted to fight.
I see Kevin Shaw extended his hand to me. I looked, and he has a gun in his hand. I asked, what's the gun for? Shaw said, just to make sure it's a fair fight. Against everything, I made the most foolish decision I've ever made in my life, and I've come to regret. I took a gun.
During the altercation, the men in the car were also robbed by the group of friends.
Shots began to be fired. There was no talking. There was no fist fight. So when I hear the shooting, I lay on the ground until the shooting stopped.
In the end, 2 people lay dead, 17-year-old Damon Dawson and 23-year-old Tracy Johnson. Burns was convicted on 2 counts of felony murder, receiving a death sentence for the murder of Dawson and a life sentence for the murder of Johnson.
I regret the whole thing happened. I regret even being present on that day, but most of all, I regret that those.
You laid on the ground, so did you get up and get in the car with them, or did you continue to lay on the ground till the police came? See, now had you just stayed on the ground till the police came, I think the police would have believed your story because you were scared shitless and you wasn't getting back in that car because you had no idea y'all was going there.
Two young men had to lose their lives, and now their families are suffering because of this situation. But I assure you that I am not a murderer.
Felony murder is a rule of law that states that a person who commits any felony can be charged with murder if that felony leads to someone's death. In other words, a person doesn't have to kill in order to be charged with first-degree murder. All but 2 states have felony murder laws. In Tennessee, being convicted of felony murder means possibly being sentenced to the death penalty. When Burns was convicted of felony murder, the jury only had to find that he participated in the robbery, not that he shot or killed anyone. During the closing arguments and the sentencing phase of the trial, the state changed course, claiming that Burns was the shooter. Burns is frustrated that his attorneys at the time never challenged the state's narrative that he killed Damon Dawson, despite the evidence.
We know beyond any shadow of a doubt that it wasn't Kevin Burns who did this crime.
Richard Tennant is a public defender representing Burns for the past 3 years and is now trying to get his sentence thrown out.
Eric Thomas is the eyewitness to this entire crime. And Eric Thomas said that the man who shot us, shot me and Damon Dawson, was the big man in glasses. A jury convicted Derek Guerin. And it makes clear that he, the big man in glasses, is who killed Damon Dawson. 4 facts. We know this. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Kevin Burns hasn't shrunk. He's 5'7", okay? We know his hair is my length. We know that he doesn't wear glasses. And we know that the murder weapon was in fact found at Derek Guerin's house.
How can you be so sure that Kevin didn't even fire a gun that day?
Kevin's, what he's always said is that yes, he had that gun. And what did he do with the gun that he never fired? He ran to Kevin Shaw's car and threw the gun in Kevin Shaw's car. Kevin Shaw goes to the police and he says, yeah, man, I did hand out guns before a fist fight. Please don't charge me. Here are the 2 guns that I handed out. I got 2 guns for you. They weren't fired. One of those guns is a gun that Kevin Burns threw in Kevin Shaw's car. Those guns, we know, weren't fired.
Derek Guerin and Carlito Adams were both sentenced to life in prison, but have since been released on parole. Kevin Burns is the only one from that day still in prison and sentenced to death.
Pray that God deliver me from this death sentence and from this prison period.
Kevin Burns, we call him KB. KB and I met now about 10 years ago. I just felt impressed that I should go to death row and minister. KB got up and came and gave me a big hug and said, I've been praying for you. Over that time, KB and I have just built a very, very close relationship.
Hello, everyone. How you doing this morning?
That relationship led to our church ordaining KB as a minister. He's considered one of the pastors of our church.
Good. I'm blessed, man. Today the best day of my life.
Tennessee is known as the buckle on the Bible Belt. Faith and hope run deep here. Starting with his father, who's also a pastor.
I believe that God is going to deliver him.
I love him. I'll always feel hurt, devastation. I hope that he can come home someday.
Their resolve remains, even though almost all of the options that could lead to Burns' exoneration have been exhausted.
See, now the fucked up part about this shit is the guy that went and told and said he passed out guns. He did, so he was part of the shit. He knew what was going to happen. He knew what was going down, but he also was, I won't say smart enough. He had the foresight enough to be the first one to go. Now, Kevin, he actually, according to his story, was blindsided, didn't know any of this happened, laid on the ground. But he ain't gonna tell. It's tragic, but I will give proud. He said, fuck that. I ain't taking no deal because then I got to plead guilty to somebody and do. Flash forward to Brother Polite. He looking at 30. This man already knew what was going on when he was going to take his jet. Could have did his little life without parole, just like the other. It's fucked up. He the only one. One nigga didn't go to jail and the other 2 did their life sentences and got out on parole. And he got a death penalty and a life sentence. He's probably already served his life sentence, which is why they're just focusing on the death penalty part now.
This past April, the Supreme Court decided not to take up Burns' case. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, in her dissent, said, The court's decision means that Burns now faces execution, despite a very robust possibility that he did not shoot Dawson, but that the jurors, acting on incomplete information, sentenced him to death because they thought he had. The court's failure to act is disheartening.
With the recent decision with the Supreme Court, kind of when you heard the news, what went through your mind? How are you doing with that?
It sounds like bad news. Wait a minute. They refused to help his case, but they acknowledged that the jurors had incomplete information. So they had the power to enact justice and refused to and just said, "We sorry, it's disheartening. Can't help." What kind of shit is that?
Justice Sonia Sotomayor, in her dissent, all of the options that could lead to Burns's exoneration.
Station. Hope they can come home someday.
Their resolve remains, even though almost all of the options that could lead to Burns's exoneration have been exhausted. This past April, the Supreme Court decided not to take up Burns's case. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, in her dissent, said, "The court's decision means that Burns now faces execution, despite a very robust possibility that he did not shoot Dawson, but that
We're going to turn it down, even though there's a robust possibility that he did not shoot Dawson."
the jurors, acting on incomplete
evidence, found him guilty. But we ain't going to help. What the fuck? I would be mad reading that shit. So you acknowledge that some fuck shit went on, and there's a chance I didn't shoot this man. If you okay with letting me be killed?
information sentenced him to death because they thought he had. The court's failure to act is disheartening.
With the recent decision with the Supreme Court, kind of when you heard the news, what went through your mind? How are you doing with that?
I thought we were going to win. And so I had a deep disappointment, but I asked you, Lord, to let my parents live to see me delivered from this place.
The decision to vacate or commute Burns' sentence now rests squarely in the hands of Republican Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. Multiple requests for comment on Burns' case to Governor Lee and his office have gone unanswered. An execution date for Burns has yet to be set.
Lee ain't gonna do it. So he's trying to have that tough on crime stance. Even though this shit happened in '94, the fact that they've allowed this man to live this damn long, this shit costs money. If you're gonna kill him, just kill him. What is all this waiting around for? This one is cop allegedly framed ex. Hold on. You said viewer discretion is advised. Okay.
A Pennsylvania state
Cop allegedly framed ex-girlfriend as crazy, falsely committed her to a 72-hour hold at a psych ward.
trooper now faces a slew of charges after he allegedly committed his ex-girlfriend to a mental institution knowing she didn't need help. The woman spent 4 days against her will in the treatment center.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Now, 37-year-old Ronald Davis, a veteran Pennsylvania state trooper, faces multiple charges, including felony strangulation, unlawful restraint, and false imprisonment.
37 years of my life, this has never happened to me. Ever. 4 months after meeting you, I get tackled. That's real. It's great.
According to court documents, Davis had been seeing Michelle Perpinov for about 4 months before the incident. Officials note he's married and has a family with someone else. But on August 19th, a fight between Davis and Perpinov broke out in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, about 2 hours northwest of Philadelphia. Perfanov would later tell police that, quote, during the course of their relationship, that Davis made statements threatening to paint her as crazy. This included, I know you're not crazy, I'll paint you as crazy, and I know the law. The argument continued into August 20th and 21st, when Davis first alleged Perfanov was mentally unstable. Court documents show that while off duty, Davis reported Perfanov was suicidal. He submitted texts to the Dauphin County Crisis Intervention that he said were problematic, including, quote, my mental health doesn't matter. I'm a useless, old, stupid, uneducated piece of explicative. If this is where I'm supposed to die, then so be it. And I think I'm going to drive off a cliff. Davis used these texts as part of an involuntary mental health commitment, meaning Perfanov would be committed to an institution against her will for her safety. Court documents note Davis used his work email to submit this information. When officials were dispatched to conduct a welfare check on Perfanov, Davis allegedly said, quote, I'll take care of it myself.
What did you have? What is wrong with you? I don't need help. I need to get away from you. No. This is normal. I don't care what anyone says. Can I please stand up? Okay. I'm not going to any jail. I'm going to do anything wrong.
This video for y'all. Somebody's actually recording this interaction that's going on, and I'm just like, who the fuck watched this? And are they being charged for the recording this when they now know it was a sham? Hey, they know it was a sham watching this shit. That lady ain't acting crazy. That's not how a crazy person acts. Even while he fucking restraining her and shit, she not acting crazy. She not even going wild like trying to kick him. None of that shit saying, get off me, none of that. She stayed very calm.
I'm not going anywhere. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
This disturbing video was recorded after Davis was approved with the commitment form. He can be seen holding down Perfanov as she repeatedly asks what she did wrong. Court documents show the video was recorded by Carrie Teeter, who Davis had enlisted for help.
What is wrong with you? Would you do that? Would you?
So I need to get away from your ass. That's the only thing wrong with me.
Okay. Here's what we go. You just called the cops on me. You're a cop. You're a... What the is wrong with you? I've lived all over the world, and not one time has anyone ever come up, tackled me, attacked me, and called the cops on me for existing in the woods. Never. Ever.
Court documents state, quote, Davis grabbed Perfanov and forcefully carried her from the picnic area to her vehicle. Both Davis and Perfanov ended up on the ground.
All because the consequences of your actions you don't like the truth. That's not, people like you should have any form of power. But if you want to sit on me, and you call the cops on me for what? For what?
Okay, just keep saying you need help.
Oh, because I'm around a sociopath. Says he can do whatever you want, women are objects, whatever he wants. I'd be happy to tell him that. You're insane.
Imagine having to do one because of a vindictive ex game. Having to do it one because you're actually about to harm yourself is one thing. But when your ex just abuses power because they're a police officer and lie and make it seem that way, yeah, kind of fucks with you. I'm sure. But she's still sitting here calm as hell.
Insane. Insane. Like, and then you pay me to look insane.
It's crazy.
I'm sitting on the ground with my head slammed, this and that. By a cop who called the cops on me. Do you realize how insane you are? Can you please get off of me? You can't just walk up to someone and attack them, and then call the cops on them and say you're gonna like. That's not okay. Get off of me! You just called the cops on me for existing! What the f is wrong with you? Like, I don't understand what I was thinking.
In the video, Perfanov alleges Davis is restraining her because she disagreed with him.
What the fuck are you doing? I don't need help. I just need to get away from you. That's the problem. I mean, I don't know why you don't like when your truth, I just tell it back to you. Like, I don't know why you don't like that. But this is unacceptable behavior. Totally unacceptable. What the fuck? Like, come on, dude. What is wrong with you?
She's such a hippie.
Who does that? You don't give a shit about anything except yourself. And if this is caring, you have a very delusional way of expressing it. Get me.
And the way she put them words together, she's definitely not
I didn't
crazy.
do anything wrong except disagree with you.
Court docs also read in part, quote, throughout viewing the footage, Perfanov appears to genuinely lack understanding on why she's being restrained. Throughout the video, Perfanov can be heard saying she didn't do anything wrong.
Sir, doing 3 days in jail would be too good. Who wants to do it when they didn't do anything wrong?
What did I do? Please stop. Get me into a tree like a human being, please. Can you do that? Can I stand here and put my things together? You can watch me all you want. You can watch me all you want.
Probably
That's
because you're a
not fair.
police officer.
I didn't do anything wrong, so get away from you. I don't understand. And I can't relax. You just got the gun for me for existing. I didn't like your group. Jesus, dude. Come on.
Because I didn't like your
What the fuck? What? Why are you treating me like I'm a criminal? I didn't do anything. I just want to be able to stand. I just want to be able to stand. This isn't fair. I didn't do anything wrong.
After that, Davis can be heard asking for law enforcement to hurry up.
Hey, tell them to step it up. She is fighting me and assaulting
I don't know what I
Tell them to hurry up.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Down.
I didn't do anything wrong. 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 You can't take me against my will. I didn't do anything wrong.
As the video continues, Perfanov again says she didn't do anything wrong except leave Davis.
You can't make up that I assaulted you. I just didn't agree with your truth. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I just left. Like, I don't understand.
Perfanov later told law enforcement that Davis acted erratically during their relationship by shutting off the power to the camper where she lives and locking sheds to prevent her from getting her personal belongings.
I don't understand. Please stop. Please stop so I can get the hair out of my face. That'd be really nice. Please. What? Can I just get the hair out of my face? Can I stand here? Can I just stand and get my arms back?
As the video continues, Perfanov can be heard saying she can't breathe.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Oh. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
This shit hurt.
I didn't happy thought I don't even like her. I didn't agree with
Where is the police? They tell you the police forever. I'm like, damn, it's 12 minutes.
I didn't come out of my car. What? I didn't do anything. What the? You're on my stomach again.
He was laying on it first. Now he pressing on his. He got his body getting served on the car. I shared the video on my community post. The last one I just
For more than 10 minutes, Perpinov fights back, saying she is not in the wrong.
You cannot take me against my will for domestic dispute. That's not even in your handbook. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what you tried to paint of me. I don't know what happened. I don't know. What is wrong with you? I don't know what. Well, what's gonna happen here? Well, what did you do? Just
being Trump don't help this woman.
What is going on?
Her civil rights
What is
was
happening?
violated. Being Trump and them, her civil rights was violated. Go represent this white woman. Be good for your image.
Why? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything.
Cry, white girl, cry.
I didn't do anything.
Eventually, Pennsylvania state troopers arrive on the scene.
One more.
Court documents show Perpinov was, quote, transported to Lehigh Valley Hospital in Schuylkill County based on involuntary mental health commitment. She was admitted and held until she was released on August 25th. When investigators looked through Perpinov's texts, they, quote, were not able to identify any suicidal or homicidal threats or ideations. Officials later determined she had injuries and bruising to her forehead, torso, back, buttocks, forearm, knee, and lower leg. They say the injuries are consistent with Davis pinning her to the ground. 1 month after the incident, on September 21st, Davis appeared for a preliminary arraignment. After reviewing both the criminal complaint and video, a Dauphin County judge ruled he be held without bail. He's due back in court next month. Reporting for Long.
Alex lawyers then pop back outside again. They want to talk about this case some more.
I will say Alec is entitled to a new trial, and he will get a new trial, whether it's by Judge Newman, by the Court of Appeals, by the Supreme Court, or by the federal courts.
Attorneys for Alec Murdaugh, confident they have enough information to vacate his conviction in the murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul.
Again, I've been doing this almost half a century. Never have I seen anything approaching this.
It's the latest chapter in the Murdaugh saga that never seems to end.
This case will steal your life if it doesn't take you.
Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Alec Murdaugh's attorneys dropped a bomb in their motion for a new trial where they claim the clerk of courts in Colleton County tampered with the jury. Over the weekend, I caught up with them at CrimeCon in Orlando. We discussed a number of things, including the motion, and they also revealed at CrimeCon who is paying them. First of all, how are you enjoying yourselves here at CrimeCon?
We're having a big time. I mean, it's just, you know.
It's Dick. Dick is enjoying his moment in the sun. Dick and Jim. They are calling Jim. Say truth, Jim is still being portrayed as an attorney. That is, Jim. They put both of their names up there. Jim Griffin and Dick Harlepool.
I don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah, that he's shit. I don't know. Jim done pulled some strings. He's still practicing apparently.
Including the motion, and they also revealed at CrimeCon who is paying them. First of all, how are you enjoying yourselves here at CrimeCon?
We're having a big time. I mean, it's just, you know, it's its own microcosm, and in this microcosm, as ridiculous as it sounds, we're celebrities.
Right, you are celebrities.
You know, and if we get on a plane tomorrow and go back to Columbia, we won't be celebrities anymore. So we're enjoying it right now.
There's a huge turnout. I mean, a lot of people here.
And they know they're down in the weeds on the Murdaugh case, and they want to talk to us about cell phones and blood sampling. I mean, it's sort of interesting to us to have that kind of very finite, focused interest in a case, we worked on for months and months and months and months, getting ready and then trying it for 6 weeks.
Millions around the world watched the Murdaugh trial, tuning in each day for 6 weeks.
This is character evidence, which is precluded.
The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty, before finding Murdaugh guilty of the murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul. Harpootlian and Griffin say 2 jurors have told them that Hill had private conversations with the jury foreperson and that she tried to sway jurors to find Murdaugh guilty.
Let's talk a little bit about the motion for new trial, because there are some really serious allegations in there about jury tampering, things that I've never heard of happening in a trial.
Join the crowd. You haven't either.
Yeah, when we interviewed these jurors and we started hearing what they reported in their affidavits, I mean, it really was jaw-dropping. I've never heard of it. And, I've been doing this 35 plus years. Dick's doing it 50 years. And this is unheard of. And, these jurors that have came forward on their own free will. And they have nothing to gain by giving us this information. In fact, they're putting themselves out there and shows real courage. But there's no doubt in our mind they're telling the truth. And so we're looking forward to having a hearing where we can explore everything under oath.
Prosecutors have been tight-lipped about the allegations of jury tampering, filing a brief response with the Court of Appeals in which they concede a hearing on the claims may be necessary to resolve the issues. Prosecutors also took issue with Murdaugh not filing a sworn statement saying he didn't know about the jury tampering claims prior to the verdict.
The sworn statement is, I did not know somebody was fixing the jury during the trial. That's the affidavit. I mean, how ludicrous is that?
And there is no procedural requirement for that. I mean, there's a case from the 70s where a judge did not grant an evidentiary hearing after a guy had pled guilty because he came forward and said I was, that I had evidence that would exculpate me. And the judge said, well, you needed to prove that you didn't have the evidence before you pled guilty. It's a completely different factual scenario than what we have here. But we fixed it.
Prosecutors also say objective investigation by SLED is ongoing. They also say the inquiry has also revealed significant factual disputes with Murdaugh's claims.
And we see in their filing, they say there's some discrepancies. I don't know how they say that when they haven't interviewed the jurors who've given us affidavits. I mean, the question is, are those jurors telling the truth? It doesn't mean that if other jurors didn't hear what these jurors heard, that the jurors that came forward are lying about it. It just means maybe she didn't say it in front of the other jurors.
Harpootlian now says his team has 4 jurors who have raised concerns about feeling pressured to reach a guilty verdict.
One of the interesting aspects is they all report that once the jury went out, they were told, you're not going home. If you don't reach a verdict quickly, we're going to have you put up for the night. And these 6 smokers that we've given smoking breaks to for the last 6 weeks, no more smoking breaks. So you don't get to smoke a cigarette until you reach a verdict. I've never heard of such a thing. So it's that kind of hotboxing. Somebody wanted a quick verdict, and we're going to make the folks with nicotine addiction have to suffer withdrawal until they reach the verdict.
One of the jurors who spoke with Murdaugh's lawyers was juror number 785. She became known as Egg Lady because she asked to retrieve a dozen eggs from the jury room after she was excused before closing arguments. She filed an affidavit in which she said Becky Hill told the jurors before Murdaugh testified not to be fooled by him. Egg Lady also claims that Becky Hill approached her about a Facebook post by her ex-husband in which he claimed that Egg Lady had already made up her mind. She claims that she told Hill she hadn't made up her mind about the verdict, and the juror's ex-husband filed an affidavit saying he didn't post what Hill had claimed on Facebook. Attorney Joe McCullough, who used to practice law with Dick Harpootlian, represents Egg Lady and another Murdaugh juror.
I think that
Joe is a former attorney.
All of the jurors I've spoken with, and currently I represent 2,
but they still say attorney on this
need
shit.
to serve through the verdict. And so there's, because of these affidavits that they had given, there's obviously a consistency that's troubling. And I mean, I think it's going to be incumbent on the system to figure out what happened and whether anything of consequence happened.
A transcript.
Maybe Jim is a paralegal now. He just traveling with Dick.
Also reveals that even Judge Newman was concerned that Becky Hill had spoken with this juror.
He said, I'm surprised that the clerk would be interrogating a juror about this matters and not bringing it to me. And I told Judge Newman I'm surprised too. Now, what we put in our motion that we intend to file attached to the Court of Appeals is that whole subject matter was about a Facebook post that was non-existent. I mean, it
totally fabricated.
It's totally fabricated, and we filed something here recently, further evidence of the fabrication of that, and we're bewildered as to how that came up, and we're even more bewildered why SLED goes out and interviews these 2 tenants of the egg lady, but doesn't go out and interview the ex-husband who allegedly put on Facebook that I just got drunk with the juror and she told me all about the trial, and SLED never interviews that guy. What does that tell you? Does that tell you that SLED knows that was BS? Or, I mean, those are questions that need answers, and SLED is in no position to answer those questions.
Absolutely. And understand, as these things are being raised, we're in a trial. We're focused on the next witness, the forensics, the cell phone. I mean, these were sort of side issues, and we never in a million years believe somebody was tampering with the jury. I mean, could not even, when we interviewed these jurors, and it wasn't immediately after the trial, it was at some point, probably 5 months after the trial. What we heard was so shocking that we feel like chumps.
Harcootlian and Griffin also raised the issue of Hill having several conversations with the 4-person, even as the jurors toured Moselle.
Well, we thought it was a little strange. We thought that, of course, the judge went too. We thought that was a little strange. I mean, and some of the jurors had questions they asked the judge. The 4-lady of the jury spent almost the entire time with the clerk.
At the jury view.
And I was there. I saw it. So.
Are you a witness?
No, I'm not a witness. I mean, I saw any more than I'm a witness to anything that happens in the courtroom. But I would think that we need to take the sworn testimony of the 4-lady of the jury, find out whether she had any relationship, whether she had any discussion. But they certainly were talking about something. And again, call me naive, but we just assumed everything was going to be on the up and up.
Harcootlian and Griffin represented Paul Murdaugh in the criminal case for the boat crash that killed Mallory Beach. Both lawyers spent a lot of time with Alec, Paul, and Maggie Murdaugh because of that, and they grew close to the family.
I don't think America and your viewers have seen the graphic murder photographs of Paul, but the fact of the matter is, whoever killed Paul shot him once in the chest and once in the head. You can say it was going up or going down, but it was execution. And I've known Paul since 2019. I've known Alec for 20 years, and I've known Paul, Maggie, and Alex and Buster real well since 2019. I don't know of any man that would blow his son's head off. And I promise you.
What the fuck? It's several people that have killed their children, sir. You sound stupid.
Alec Murdaugh was not capable of that. I believe that in my soul, and I've never wavered from that. And so, I mean, it was very difficult. I was believing Alec's innocence. I was very, very disappointed in the jury's verdict.
We both spent a lot of time with Paul, Maggie, and Alec. And I have in my mind's eye, it was a weekend where there's a baseball game in Columbia, and Maggie and Paul and Alec came up. And after we finished talking about some of the details of Paul's case, they all walked out together. And I can see Alec holding Maggie's hand and his arm around Paul. And they always had that affectionate, I mean, it's just, if they'd gotten an argument and he shot Paul, once. But the second shot, everybody agrees, was either a contact wound or an intentional wound to blow. It's in the head. There's no coming back from a shotgun blast in the head. And his brain literally came out of his skull, hit the ceiling, and hit the floor. And both our experts agree. Whoever did it would have been covered in blood from head to foot. And the forensic evidence was inconsistent with that. We never got to that because Judge Newman spent 2.5 weeks allowing the state to put in all the financial stealing and misdeeds that Alec did. By the time we got to the real evidence, the murder evidence, nobody was going to be sympathetic to him. Get that.
One piece of evidence that jurors cited when finding Alec Murdaugh guilty was the kennel video that placed Alec Murdaugh at the kennels minutes before prosecutors say Paul and Maggie were murdered. Murdaugh had told law enforcement and everyone he knew that he had not been to the kennels that night.
Hey, he's got burgers now.
I asked Harpootlian and Griffin about the big lie.
It was surprising, and and he agrees. I agree. Had he not lied about that, he wouldn't have been charged. If he was charged, he definitely wouldn't have been convicted. So, he explained, the paranoia he was going through. He did have a bag full of pills in his pocket, and he was suspect number one from the minute
bag full of Perkins in his pocket.
Lynn County showed up. And so, he got on the stand, and that's one of the reasons we put him on the stand, so he can explain why he lied. I've accepted that reason. And, I don't think the jurors who found him guilty, thought much beyond that and didn't look at any other evidence because all the evidence is inconsistent with him being the murderer. As Dick was saying, the forensic evidence.
Harpootlian and Griffin maintain they believe Paul and Maggie were murdered because of Alec Murdaugh's drug activity. Murdaugh pleaded guilty to a number of financial crimes charges in federal court last week related to his theft of millions of dollars from clients and his law firm. One of his trials on the state charges is scheduled to begin in November. And as far as the murder case goes,
I will say Alec is entitled to a new trial, and he will get a new trial, whether it's by Judge Newman, by the Court of Appeals, by the Supreme Court, or by the federal courts. Based on the evidence that we have developed, he's entitled to a new trial.
During their presentation at...
That's it, y'all. So what time you gonna laugh? I got some other stuff on the save for later.
Oh, it's gonna be like time.
We're gonna stop it there. I see y'all people tonight and on Truth Jam whenever she go live. Yeah. She jogging, she want me to get her. She all on my Facebook, she all on my Twitter. She sending me picture text, she all on my telephone. She better hell on me, can't get her to leave it alone. She jogging, she want me to get her. She all on my Facebook, she all on my Twitter. She sending me picture text, she all on my telephone. She better hell on me, can't get her to leave it alone. Can't get her to leave it alone. She all on my email, she sending me text message, she all on my voicemail. She say she my biggest fan. I don't know what's wrong with her. She started on Facebook and followed me on Twitter. She all up on MySpace. She sending me naked pictures. I just got a boost mobile and shouted to chirping nigga. She want me to get with her. I'm thinking about going in. I asked if she has some friends that don't mind joining in. We back at the hotel. I call up the MoneyBoy. Shawty a real freak cause she breaking out sex toys. She giving us all head, pussy and titties right. I'm pulling them X pills. I'm giving a straight pipe. I can go all night. Baby, can you hang? Call me John Witherspoon cause I wanna just bang bang. I can go all night. Baby, can you hang? Call me John Witherspoon cause I wanna just bang bang. She jogging, she want me to get her. She all on my Facebook, she all on my Twitter. She sending me picture text, she all on my telephone. She better hell on me, can't get her to leave it alone. She jogging, she want me to get her. She all on my Facebook, she all on my Twitter. She sending me picture text, she all on my telephone. She better hell on me, can't get her to leave it alone.
Yes, indeed. Baby girl, just hit me up on tweet. Don't waste my time.
Girl, best believe that I'ma be the one that you need. Just take a look at me. I'm fresh to my waistline. Waist down, crown, hold the bankroll, hands down, ain't I? Higher than the extraterrestrial. She all on my zipper now. Thank you for my testicle. I'ma be the only one that's ever been the best of them. Just don't start acting all crazy like the rest of them. We can have something good, kinda like forever. If you know I'm being number 2 or kissing on Heather. Oh, is that too much? Well, it really doesn't matter. I get girls by the dozen. Aunties, sisters, and cousins with a world-class car to fit the girls in. She jogging, she want me